I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Micah chapter 4. And remember, this is a continuation of the prophecy begun in chapter 3. In the last days the temple shall be built, Israel shall gather to it, the millennial era will commence, and the Lord will reign in Zion. I remember in chapter 3, the beginning of this prophecy, we read about how the false prophets, the prophets and priests that teach and divine for hire, for money, they are the reason of the corruption of Israel and the reason that God destroys Israel and Judah. So now we get this. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. This is almost word for word from Isaiah chapter 2. I believe that Micah is quoting Isaiah. He said, look, of all this destruction that's coming, but, remember it starts with the word but there. Now Isaiah's prophecy, this is the beginning of Isaiah's prophecy. It doesn't have a but, it doesn't have a transition there, it just says, in the last days. Actually, let me flip back to Isaiah for just a moment. Isaiah begins with, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be built, shall be established in the top of the mountain. So again, he is obviously quoting Isaiah, in my opinion. I think it's a direct quote of Isaiah. Now we get his commentary on Isaiah, you could say. His expounding of it. Verse 3. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. So, verse 3 is also quoting Isaiah. So, verses 1, 2, and 3 in Micah chapter 4 are a quote of Isaiah chapter 2, verses 2, 3, and 4. Now we'll get Micah's addition here. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts hath spoken it. For all people will walk every one in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. Now, I do want to make a couple of comments here. I've always liked this, since the first time I really read this chapter several years ago. But you'll know, he quotes Isaiah in the first 3 verses. Verse 4, he talks about every man shall sit under his vine, and none shall make them afraid. This is the millennium. Just like the prophecy of Isaiah starts with the restoration and kind of goes into the millennial reign. And the same thing here. We have the restoration going into the millennium. But then we have verse 5. All people will walk everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God. In other words, in the millennium, after the return of Christ, there will still be multiple religions. When Christ comes back, he doesn't destroy everybody who's not a Christian. He destroys the wicked, the truly wicked, those of a telestial glory. All those of a celestial or terrestrial glory remain on the earth. And there will still be religious freedom. There just won't be any grievous sins. There's not going to be any murders, any stealing, anything like that. We're going to have good prosperity. Everybody will be peace. Everybody has peace, and everybody's sitting under their own fig trees and their own vines. They have their own food. But at least at the beginning of the millennium, we will still have Muslims. We will still have Hindus. We will still have Buddhists. We will still have Baptists. We will still have Methodists. We will still have Catholics. We will still have all of these religions, because God will not force anybody to accept it. And the rest of this, verses 6 and 7, this is talking about the gathering of Israel, the restoration of the tribes, her that halted, that somebody is lame, gather those that are driven out. There should be a remnant, and there should be a remnant and a strong nation, and the Lord shall rule over them. This is again describing the millennium. So the restoration of the 10 tribes it seems from here, will happen only after the second coming in the millennium. Verse 8, And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, when unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion, the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. But in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against thee, that say, Let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they his counsel, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their grain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So it seems that the first part is talking about Israel, and this part is talking about Judah. Unto the daughters of Zion it shall come, even the first dominion. You shall gain that, but you're going to go away into Babylon first. You're going to be driven out, but you will come back and you will defeat many nations. It's an interesting one. Anyways, we will pick this up in chapter 5 to finish off this particular prophecy. I'll see you there.